write a 150-word introduction for my YouTube video. Black man was kicked out of the bank for a loan denial, but 98 later, he owned the financial empire. Start with a compelling hook that grabs the audience's attention and sets up the main storyline. The introduction should establish the tone, create suspense, and introduce the primary characters or themes. Make sure to naturally include keywords relevant to the topic and leave the story on a cliffhanger or unresolved tension for the next part. Also, do not make any policy headings. Only write story in paragraphs. Also, keep the wording simple and natural tone. Also, make the script human-centric and don't give feel of AI generated. Also, don't create violated content which can affect YouTube. That night, Marcus sat in his small apartment, replaying the scene in his mind. The way the loan officer had dismissed him, the whispers from other customers, the heavy door closing behind him. It all lingered like an open wound. He could have let it break him, but instead it lit a fire. He pulled out his notebook, the same one he'd been using to sketch out his dreams, and flipped to a blank page. If the system wouldn't support him, he decided he'd find another way to make it happen. He started researching alternative paths, diving into late-night forums and watching countless videos on finance, investments, and entrepreneurship. Every setback became fuel. But Marcus wasn't just driven by ambition, he wanted to prove a point. The bank's rejection wasn't just about the loan, it felt like a rejection of his potential. And that was a mistake they would soon regret. Weeks turned into a blur as Marcus worked tirelessly, fueled by determination and a sense of purpose. He started small, flipping items online and reinvesting every dollar he earned. He connected with local entrepreneurs, soaking up their advice and learning from their stories. Slowly, his savings grew, and so did his confidence. But the real turning point came when Marcus stumbled upon an idea, one so bold, it scared him. What if he created a platform that empowered people like him to access financial opportunities without relying on traditional banks? The idea consumed him, and Marcus began reaching out to developers and financial experts. Some laughed at him, doubting he could pull it off. Others saw his passion and offered their help. As the pieces came together, Marcus found himself facing the biggest decision of his life, a move so risky, it could either make or break everything he had worked for. Just as things seemed to be coming together, Marcus hit an unexpected roadblock. A key investor, who had promised to help fund his platform, backed out at the last minute. It wasn't just a financial setback, it was a blow to his momentum. Doubts crept in, and for a moment, he felt like he was back in that bank, dismissed and underestimated. But Marcus wasn't the same man he was then. He had learned to pivot, to adapt when the odds were stacked against him. Determined not to let this derail his progress, Marcus took an even bigger leap. He decided to pitch his idea directly to the community, the very people he wanted to help. Through social media and grassroots efforts, his message began to spread. But the pressure mounted. If this didn't work, everything he had built so far would be at risk, and time was running out. The day of Marcus's community pitch arrived, and the stakes couldn't have been higher. He stood in front of a packed room, a mix of small business owners, aspiring entrepreneurs, and everyday people looking for hope. His voice trembled at first, but as he shared his vision of financial empowerment, the passion in his words began to resonate. He talked about creating a system that valued people's potential instead of their credit scores. By the end of his pitch, the room erupted in applause. Donations, partnerships, and offers to join his mission poured in. It was the breakthrough he had been waiting for. But the real twist came a week later. The same bank that had denied him and thrown him out reached out, asking to partner with his now successful platform. Marcus didn't hesitate. He politely declined. Instead, he focused on building his financial empire on his own terms. Marcus's platform quickly became a game changer, helping countless individuals access opportunities they'd been denied for far too long. Small businesses flourished, families found financial stability, and a community grew around the idea that success should be accessible to everyone. Marcus often reflected on how one moment of rejection had sparked something so much bigger than himself. The irony of the bank's offer wasn't lost on him, but it was proof of how far he'd come. Marcus had built more than just a financial empire. He had created a movement. As he looked out at the thriving businesses and inspired faces at a community event, he felt a deep sense of fulfillment. His journey wasn't just about proving the doubters wrong. It was about showing that resilience and belief in yourself could turn even the harshest setbacks into incredible success stories. Marcus wasn't always aiming for a financial empire. He was just a man with a dream, a plan to open a community-focused business that could uplift others like him. He had spent months researching, saving, and preparing every detail. That visit to the bank was supposed to be the final step, the moment everything came together. Instead, it became a moment he'd never forget. The loan officer barely looked at his documents. The rejection felt personal, like they decided his worth before he even walked in the door. Humiliated and hurt, Marcus walked out of that bank wondering if his dream was over. But deep down, something shifted. He realized no one was going to believe in him unless he believed in himself first. What happened next? Let's just say Marcus was about to take a risk that would rewrite his story forever.